Alrighty, well, welcome everyone to another episode of I-SPIE TV, our April episode. So for today's agenda, I'm going to start out with some announcements, and then Chris has a down low with the CO. He's going to talk about Rapido 101 launch. It's ready to go, so he'll talk about how to access it. And then I'm going to do a tectonic on the Iliad Inset borrowing renewal add-on that we use at San Marcos to renew Iliad items in Alma. And then we have another download from the CEO, but with Christina Hennessy, and she's going to talk about the ex Libris satisfaction survey results. So the resource sharing issues that were reported through there, she'll be discussing. So first up, let me share my screen for the announcements. Okay. So first announcement is the Resource Sharing Functional Committee has a new chair, Rosemary Farr from Fullerton. So I just wanted to introduce Rosemary and welcome her. And then Rosemary, if you could say a few words about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Natalia. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good afternoon. Just figured I'd say a couple things about myself. So I'm at Fullerton and I handle both lending and borrowing. And we're excited to be moving away from Iliad next month. And so we're going to get ready for that. Enough work stuff. A little personal thing about me. I really enjoy live comedy. So me and my husband catch comedy shows, either at the Brea Improv, the Ontario Improv, or the Irvine Improv. So that's usually what we got going on. And that's me.
Cool, thanks, Rosemary. We're excited to have you. So that segues pretty well into my next announcement, which is that the 23-24 term for the Resource Sharing Functional Committee is coming to an end on June 30th. So Christina is going to be sending out a call for nominations next week. So keep an eye out for that. You will need to let your dean know of your interest, and they will let Christina know. So that's how it works. There are actually 4 spots open on the RSFC, so that's quite a few spots. And then the terms are 2-year terms typically. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out to Chris or any other Rosemary or any other member of the Resource Sharing Functional Committee. You don't have to have a whole lot of experience. Even if you're new, it's a really good way to learn quickly and get to know your CSU colleagues. So we encourage you to put your name in for that. Chris or Rosemary, is there anything you wanted to add about Resource Sharing Functional Committee?
I'm available. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out. This is my first term serving on the RSFC, and it's going pretty well. So it's not too intimidating. Everyone is really, open. So consider it.
Echoing what Rosemary said, it's a great committee. It's pretty chill. I definitely recommend it. I was on it when I worked at Cal Poly SLO, and it's a good time. So hope to see you there.
Cool, thank you both. So then that segues well into this next announcement, which is that the Rapido working group has a call for nominations out. So Chris sent an email about this a couple weeks ago. He's rotating off the committee, and it would be really great to have CSU representation. The terms are 2 years, and this group works really closely with the Rapido development team at Ex Libris. It's kind of like what Chris explained is like a bigger, more impactful Resource Sharing Functional Committee. So maybe you're cycling off the Resource Sharing Functional Committee. This might be a good opportunity for you. But Chris is on the committee, so I'll let him just share a few things about it.
Yeah, it's a great committee. I'm cycling off. I've been chair of the committee for the last 2 years. And it's a new committee, so there's still, a lot of room to grow and set kind of how things go in the future. Last year we did the first enhancements process, where you can really really impact how Rapido works, and like Natalia said, we meet frequently with Ex Libris in that committee with the development team to give feedback on upcoming features or say, hey, we really need it to do X. So it's a very good committee. And I see Christina has her hand raised.
Right. So I just wanted to clarify for folks that are new, this is actually not a CSU thing. Is it eLuna and Igloo?
It's Illuna. It does have some joint participation with Igloo at times, but it is specifically Illuna.
Yeah. So this is an Ex Libris Users of North America committee, not just a CSU thing. So if you're someone that needs or wants national service, that's what this is. But don't be intimidated. I'm just saying this is like not, I know it's a little bit confusing because there's like Rapido groups and all of that, but this is like the eLuna Rapido working group.
Well, yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Christina. I know it can be a little confusing.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Christina. Yes, it's a nationwide, occasionally little bit international group. So, and it's a good, being on the committee is a good excuse to go to your supervisor to get approval to go to the Illuna conference, which is a very good conference that I do recommend more people go to. So.
Yeah, very good. And to apply, Chris, you just said before Luna to submit.
Yes, it would be better sooner than later. Because so I would definitely, if possible, do it this week. Bioluna is technically possible, but the earlier you do it, the more likely you are to get on the committee.
Okay, great. Any questions about the Rapido working group? Okay, well, if there's none, then I will go to the I-SPIE 2024 call for proposals. So hopefully you received that email on Monday. We are accepting 3 types of proposals: full length, which can be 30 to 45 minutes with time for questions, lightning rounds, 10 to 15 minutes, and then poster. This is a virtual conference, and I guess I didn't put the dates on here, but they are on the call for proposals. It's July 24th and 25th. So if you're curious how like a poster session would work, what we're thinking is you would have a PowerPoint slide, just, you know, like you would have just a poster, you could do a PowerPoint slide of a topic of your choice. And basically we would do breakout rooms. So you're not like presenting to like a full Zoom room of people. You would have people coming through to your breakout room, and you would answer questions and explain what your topic is and the information you have on your slide. So please submit your proposals by May 31st, 2024. So next month. And let's see, let me check out the call for proposals form. I wanted to show that off. Okay, so then we'll let those who have been selected know by June 14th. So we have July 24th and 25th, 24. I didn't put the time to the conference, but we're thinking of doing two-hour blocks, like a 2-hour block in the morning and a 2-hour block in the afternoon, just so it's not too, you know, you're looking at the screen all day long, and then you can also have time to get your work done. So you just put your name, your email, your campus, position title, which proposal type you're submitting, proposed program topic title, and then a brief description slash abstract of your topic. And then, you know, if you want to do a group presentation, that kind of is, you know, it makes it a little bit easier if you're nervous. So maybe some colleagues in the CSU you have that are doing the same thing and you want to do a group presentation. Those are always fun. But I see Christina has her hand raised.
Is it free?
Oh yes, it is free. There's no cost. So that's the nice thing too about doing a virtual conference. Of course, we won't get to, network as much as we'd like, but we will be coming up with some ideas to make it fun, and to have some networking. So hopefully, I'm sure it'll be great. So thank you to everyone on the planning committee, Chris, Elise, Priscilla, Danelle, and Stacy. And then just a quick announcement that ECOG, Christina let us know it's steering, so I thought I'd put this into that the dates were selected for ECOG, which unfortunately it's not going to happen in the summer just because the chancellor's office is, I think, doing some construction. The rooms aren't going to be available, so that's why those are taking place. That conference is not taking place till October. But if you're not going to, since I-SPIE is virtual, it's not going to cost you anything. Hopefully we can all see each other, as many of us as possible can see each other at ECOG. So let's see.
The Ex Libris California user group. So it's kind of like a subset of Illuna for people in kind of the West Coast California areas.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that. It might not be clear, but
So it'll be all our University of California friends and our community college friends and all the other like little institutions in California. And then I suppose folks from other states could come too. But it is not my conference to announce, but when it is announced, I will send it to everyone. But thanks, Natalia, for sharing the days. I've reserved the room, so there's going to be something there.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully it's okay that I just announced a couple dates, but I just wanted to have that go with the I-SPIE conference, since I definitely want to see as many of you as possible, and so I'm going to try to go to ECOG. Okay, so next up we have a download from the CO with Chris Lee.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all here today. Like Natalia said, this is the download from the CO, part 1 of 2. So that's kind of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started here. All right. Do you see the opening slide?
Yep. Oh, well, we see download from the CO.
Yeah.
No, we don't see.
The download from the CO.
There we go. So, Rapido 101 is finally all written and uploaded and ready to go. I've sent the badges to the person at the chancellor's office who oversees kind of the Canvas stuff, and she's putting them up, and it should be done at some point next week. So it'll be able to officially launch at that point. We were able to get a kind of a newer way of signing up where you can just use that link and then use your campus single sign-on to automatically make a account for the chancellor's office Canvas instance, which is separate from your individual campus instances of Canvas. And with this link, I don't have to manually approve each person who tries to take the course. You're just automatically in, which will be very handy in the future when, especially in the future when new staff members start working and want to take the course, or if you want to use it as a tool, the first few modules as a tool to train your student workers, you can just have them sign in and get in and start immediately. You don't have to wait a day for me to jump on. And I will be sending out the link through email and chat as well. So let me see if I can. Okay, well, I will grab it as soon as I'm done with the presentation and put it in the chat. But I will be sending out an email as well. So the Canvas course, one little fun thing with it is it has Canvas badges. Each module will have a badge. They'll look like the blue ones there for each individual module. Well, and if you take all the modules, you will also get the course completion badge, which is the nice golden badge shown there. And Rapido 201, which I'm going to start work on very soon, which will focus on configuration, where Rapido 101 focuses on workflows. Rapido 201 will follow the same structure. And if you complete both badges, there will be the ultimate Rapido badge. That'll be, kind of just a fun thing that could go on your digital backpack that Badger has. And you can use them to send to your supervisor to say, hey, look, I am certified in Rapido. And the configuration Rapido 201, the badges will contain recommendations for certain roles at certain points so that you can take that to your supervisors and say, hey, I really need these configuration roles. I've taken the training on how to use the configuration role. Now I need the role so I can do the job. All right, so that's the badges. Now on to a change of topic. Unity bag repair. So this has been kind of a long time coming. I've been working to try to find ways to get the bags repaired. I looked at some local shops, and they pretty much just repaired stuff like purses and boots and all sorts of things, but not canvas courier bags. So I contacted the company that makes the bags, and they looked into it, and they're like, yeah, well, we could do repairs, but the repairs will be about $35 per bag, and they just use these iron-on patches, and they sent us a link to the patches they use. So I ordered a whole bunch. I have them all sitting here next to me. There's a photo of them on my floor from yesterday I took for this slide, and they're all sorts of fun colors. I am going to try to make room for the rest of today and also tomorrow to get those fixed. Unfortunately, I do not have the supplies to fix zippers at this time, but hey, most of the bags, the problem isn't zippers, so that are waiting for repair. I've got a few boxes of things with small tears and holes that these will fix. So I'm going to get those out, try to get them out to you next week to be repaired. I'll double check if they can get washed. Maybe I'll throw them in the washing machine first. And we'll go from there and try to get these back into circulation. All right, so that's the Unity bags. Now I finally have the Unity meeting. I met with them along with several people from the Chancellor's office, specifically Christina and David Walker, and also invited some staff from libraries who had particularly egregious problems. So Natalia and Rosemary were in attendance as well. So we talked about many things, including how a bunch of bags were dropped off after everyone had gone home from the department, just on the sidewalk behind San Marcos, and it was a Friday, so the staff didn't see the bags until they came to work on Monday, and it rained all weekend, and they were just left out in the rain. So we finally were able to get a claims damaged form. So I will be filling that out to get those books paid for. But also I'm keeping a unfilled copy of the form so I don't have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks of emails to get the form in the future. So we can fill it out. So if anything is ever damaged, let me know and I can fill that out ASAP. Unity is expecting a list of libraries where the driver is coming outside the agreed times. I sent out a thing a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, spreadsheets to put those times on if your driver has been consistently coming later and later and later. I'm gonna send it out again, so anyone who didn't get a chance to fill that out can fill that out. So I can send it to Unity. Just put the times that you think they should be coming and the times that they currently are. This might even be a good opportunity to if a new time would be better to say the time of the the time they come. We will also be scheduling these meetings more often. And try to do this multiple times a year to keep them on their toes and listening to the things that we have going on. So looking at the chat, I see what is the value? How is the value of the claim determined? I'm not 100% sure. I think if I remember correctly, that they have like a certain number, like they will do up to a certain price point per book. I think it's like a flat fee, but I'm not positive. I will double check on that. But yeah, I'll look into that. All right, so that's it for me on Unity. But before I go, there is my little segment that I think is fun, the famous fictional librarian. So who do you think it's going to be this week? It's going to be hard to top last month. But we found something just as terrifying, the monster librarian from Monsters University. So in Pixar's Monsters University, the second scare challenge for the monster fraternities and sororities is to sneak past the university librarian to steal a flag hidden in the library. Unfortunately, the librarian is unforgiving of even the slightest sound and throws noisy students out of the library through an open window in the ceiling. This is something we are not allowed to do at the CSU, so please do not throw noisy students outside of any windows. We like to have a much calmer, I'll be maybe a little bit noisier experience. So that's our famous fictional librarian. And let's stop sharing, and that's it for me.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Any other questions for Chris? Did you get all of those in the chat? Can the bags be washed? Did you?
I'll double check on if it's safe to wash them. Maybe I'll just take one that's particularly damaged and throw it in the wash and see if it dissolves. But I'll check on that, and I can throw them in the washing machine.
I wonder if there's like a little tag or something on the inside. Usually,
I'll double check. But
Sometimes
yeah,
it'll
it's a good
say.
idea to wash them. And yeah, and I'll send out that form again. For the time changes, it could be a good opportunity to say, hey, you know what? This time here might not be our original time, but it works best for us. Please do that time instead, and we'll see if we can get them to adhere to that. So, yep.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so next up, I'm doing a tectonic. Okay, so I'm going to be discussing the Iliad INSIP borrowing renewal add-on. So if you use the borrowing INSIP add-on and you don't use this, you might want to consider it. Or if you're interested in using the borrowing INSIP add-on and you're curious about how renewals would work, then this might be of interest to you as well. So the INSIP borrowing renewal add-on allows Iliad to renew items in Alma via the INSIP protocol. So as I mentioned, you do have to have the borrowing INSIP add-on configured and installed as well to use it. So these are the steps for setting it up. So first you would download and install the add-on, then you configure the add-on, And then you configure renewals in Alma for Iliad items. And then you'll want to create a set in Alma for renewed Iliad items so that you can go in there and see what items have been renewed. And then for when when you request a renewal in Iliad and it gets denied, it's helpful to also set up a query to patron email to inform users that the request has been denied and that they should request another copy. So the Iliad renewals add-on is a server add-on. So this is actually different than the INSIP borrowing add-on and the INSIP lending add-on. So you actually are going to install it in the customization manager. So you'll download the add-on zip file, which I should include the link here, but I'll look for it after. But it's on the Atlas add-ons page. So the list of Atlas add-ons, so where you would get the borrowing and lending add-on files, you would get those in the same place. So it is a zip file. You can keep it zipped up, and then once you go into the customization manager, you'll select new, and then you'll go to the server add-ons tab, and then choose file to upload, and locate the zip file, and then click open, and then you'll notice all these fields here, and this is basically how you configure it. So here's a table that shows you everything you'll need to enter. So the field to use for barcode, at San Marcos, we use the transaction number, but I know some campuses like to use the actual barcode of the book, which works too. It can be easier to do that, especially like when a lot of users will remove the strap. So using the actual barcode can be useful. So it might not be transaction number as the value. So for example, if you put the barcode in the ref number field in Iliad, then you would put the ref number, you'd put ref number here in the value. And then the NSIP responder URL is NA03. We're all using the same server, Alma server, which is NA03. So you don't have to find out that information. And then there's renew item from unique agency value. So basically you're just going to put in it's 01 CALS and then whatever your little 3-letter institution code is. So Marcos, ours is USM. And then the application profile type. So this is what you're going to look up in your Iliad partner profile, resource sharing partners code. So actually let me go in and show that off. And show you how to find your partner code. So under fulfillment and resource sharing partners. So it's your Iliad partner code. So this is the setup. You'll know all this information if you did the borrowing renewals, the borrowing INSIP add-on. So you can see ours is called borrowing. Our code is borrowing underscore INSIP, and that's what we use for the INSIP. So if you find your Iliad partner and look at your code, a lot of people just use Iliad, some people use ILL. So that's that. Let's see. We go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. And then your renew item search queue. So if you don't want to confirm the date that the lender gave you, then you can just use awaiting renewal okay processing. But for us at San Marcos, a lot of lenders, when they approve the renewal, they give you more than what you asked for. So we like to review them before we send it to automatically update the due date in Alma. So we created a queue called Alma Renewals. And basically what we'll do is we'll open the awaiting renewal okay processing queue. We'll, if the date is is more in the future that they gave us than what we asked for, we'll update it to that date, and then we'll route it to this queue called Alma renewals, and then that gets monitored by this add-on, and then it'll automatically update the due date in Alma, and it will show in the patron account that it's been renewed. And then you have your renew item success queue. So typically once something's renewed, you'd want it in checked out to customer status back in that status again. And then the fail queue is if the add-on doesn't work. So this is just the default name of the fail queue, but you can name it whatever you want. Okay, so configuring the renewals in Alma. So you will have to update your borrowing or your lending and borrowing workflow profiles. So this is in the configuration menu, fulfillment, resource sharing, workflow profiles, and you can see here that we added, we created a new workflow profiles for Iliad items. You'll see that the borrowing NZ workflow and the lending NZ workflow will be there because we all have that. That's from when we had CSU Plus, but Rapido doesn't actually use those workflow profiles anymore, so you could repurpose them if you wanted to, but just to preserve things, we created 2 new ones. And at first I couldn't figure out, I configured the renewals add-on, but I couldn't figure, it wasn't working. And so the way it works is like the user's supposed to see when they log into their Primo account, they're supposed to see request renewal button. And I just couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. I reached out to Tim Jackson at SUNY and he's like, yeah, it's really weird, but you do have to configure a lending workflow profile, even though this process has nothing to do with lending. You don't even need to have the lending INSIP add-on installed to use it, but for some reason, Alma just doesn't allow that request renewal to show up in my account unless you also had the lending workflow profile configured to also allow renewals. So that's how that works. And then you will update your ILL partner, your Iliad partner in Alma with the new workflow profile names. So let me share that as well again. So this is our Iliad, and you can click edit, and you'll notice for our Iliad partner, we have the workflow profiles listed here. And that will be, so, you know, it's using these profiles. So, you know, they're not going to be able to renew CSU Plus items. They'll just be able to renew these, the ones in the Iliad items. So that's kind of neat. Okay, back to. All right, and then you'll want to create a set for renewal requests. So the set is going to be mediated patron renewal is the status, and then activity status is active, and then save as new set, name it whatever you want. We call it Iliad renewals, but I think you're all pretty familiar with how to create sets. And then I won't go over query to patron since Chris has some really good documentation on the wiki, but as I said, it's helpful to set up a query to patron email. It's just basically a pre-created email, so you don't have to template email, so you don't have to write it all out to your user again. But basically our email says your renewal request has been denied. Please re-request or request another copy. And what we usually do is we just give them, even if it's denied, we'll give them another week just so that they have time to request another copy. All right, so let me just conclude with what our workflow is. So basically daily, we check that set, the patron, a mediated patron renewal set. We check it every day. Then we look at the request in Alma, and then we look at the policies directory. And if the policies directory says that the lender allows renewals, we'll click renew request. And then steps 4 through 6 are pretty much optional, but we do them. So basically you could just route everything automatically. Well, everything when a renewal is granted, it routes to awaiting renewal, okay, processing. So you could have the add-on monitor that queue and just automatically update the dates in Alma for anything that pops into that queue. But like I said, we like to give whatever due date the lender gave. So in some instances they do give a longer amount of time. So that's why we like to make sure that we update the due date in Iliad, and then we route it to a queue that's monitored and we'll update it in Alma. So that is essentially it. And we do have a couple minutes for questions. Is the notification to the patron coming from Iliad or Alma? The query to patron would be from Alma. We pretty much use all the Alma letters. Oh, for the renewal, it actually doesn't, I don't believe it actually sends them a notification that their item was renewed. Yeah, I don't think there's a letter for that.
So are they they're requesting the renewal, and so it just happens?
Yeah, they can just look at
Okay.
their account and see that it was renewed. They'll see the due date when they log in. But I can look into that and see if there is a letter that is triggered. But I don't know, since we've never done, CSU Plus, we've never done renewals.
Yeah.
So, but it seems like if they have the awaiting or mediated renewal processing, then they should have a letter that triggers when something is renewed. So maybe there is one that we just don't have it turned on.
I think there is. I'm double checking that right now.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great question. Something I didn't think about and could definitely improve the feature for us. So I definitely would like to look into that. Okay,
This
well, I think
summer I
we're
would like to do a big letters refresh and have make a bunch of templates for everyone to use. This could be added to the list of those.
cool. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else in the CSU is using this add-on, but I'd be interested to know. But hopefully, I mean, it is kind of nice if you want to do renewals. Otherwise, you can just have a set loan period. I know a lot of people do that. Anyway, I don't want to take up time because we have Christina here to talk about the satisfaction survey results. So Christina, I'm going to play your bumper here. Hold on. Okay, Christina's going to talk about the satisfaction survey results. Thank you, Christina.
That was very tinny. Thank you. All right. So I apologize to those that were in analytics this morning. You might hear some of the same information in both meetings, except the results for the area will be different. So you can zone out for like 5 minutes. And then there'll be the resource sharing stuff. So these are just going to be preliminary results. So you're going to have me talking mostly all of our professional presentation later once the report and input is complete. But I wanted to get this information out to you today. Thanks to Chris and Natalia and I-SPIE for inviting me to present the preliminary results. So how did we get here? What's the history of the satisfaction survey in relation to UMS? So we went live in Alma and Primo in summer 2017. And everybody was an ex-Libris customer by then. I don't know the exact history, but I believe it was originally interviews with a project manager at each campus. I had one with Brandon when I was the project manager at Northridge, and these were yearly things, and that fed into a report. Eventually, those got, as he told me, kind of a little bit stale. People would just complain about the same things or go, I don't have anything to say that I didn't say last year. So eventually it turned into a survey, several surveys that went to all CSU library, faculty, and staff administrators. And it was one survey for each functional area, and we have 6 functional areas, and then one survey for staff overall. So there were 7 surveys, and it was kind of hard to keep track of, like, did you fill one out? They came out at different times. And it was a really big burden on the functional committees. And I just wanted to get away from that. We are also losing cross-functional issues in this format. Since we moved to Primo VE, it's sometimes tough to tell what's Alma versus Primo. And particularly in relation to resource sharing, like, is this a resource sharing thing? Is it a discovery thing? Is it a resource management thing? So I wanted to catch those kind of things. My deliverable out of this survey is a written report for Ex Libris. It's not required, but something we've been doing for many years now. And Ex Libris actually looks forward to it. They've been asking me, like, where is it? So here's what it looked like last year. If you've never seen one. And it's a lot of text, but then you end up with a lot of numbers. And of course my trash is getting picked up right now. So that doesn't mean my house is falling apart. It's just the sound of the trash truck. So you can see, oh, there was a big thing on Rapido last year. So there's a lot of text. I just wanted to give you a visual of this, a lot of numbers, and then a lot of detail about some of the comments. So not every consortia does this type of report. I've been working closely with my counterpart at the University of California this year on reports we're both giving to Ex Libris and what we can share. And in the University of California, they actually do something called a beef survey, like, what's your beef with Ex Libris? And so that tends to go a little more negative, but it's also a little more honest. And so I'm curious to see, like, what they end up with there. You guys were plenty honest in yours, so it's I don't know if we have that problem. So that's the beef survey. So that's the main deliverable, is a report for Ex Libris, but I also find out some things I don't know, things that we don't hear from other channels, and inputs about the service that me and my colleagues at the CO can give you, and things that we can work on. What came out of the report last time were several online meetings with Ex Libris management. Maybe you went to some of those. And in talking to people, they were really unsatisfying for both sides. Ex Libris didn't really like the meetings, and neither did our faculty and staff. So we're not going to do them in that format anymore. So what's going on this year? There's a new ULMS director, that's me, and I had interest in trying a new survey, just one, so to simplify it for people, less burden on the functional committees, but we could still compare previous years with numbers and ratings. Catching things that cross groups, more room for comments. It did take a while to get going. I need a lot of input from others on, like, what I could do and not do. A lot of people reviewing surveys and things like that. Also talking to Ex Libris management, like, does this really work for you? Do you like this format? So getting input from a lot of people. Anyway, after all that, the survey finally went out in February. We left it open 3 weeks. If you missed the survey, it looked like this. And so it asked you about your campus, and then I'm going to go over some of the questions that were asked there. But I know we all fill out a lot of surveys, so I wanted to remind you what this one was, if you had forgotten it or if you never saw it. And then respondents could contact me directly if they didn't want to fill out the form and it didn't work for them, but no one did this. The form was still confusing for people, and they weren't sure if they were supposed to fill it out or not. It depended on more Alma and Primo knowledge. Then I realized a few questions about what was fulfillment. So I'll make that clearer next time. Also, a few questions from deans saying, am I supposed to do one of these per campus, or can anybody do them? And so I'll make that clearer next time. We want input from everyone, everywhere. I was pleased with what ended up in other. There was an other option in here that wasn't otherwise covered. Got a lot of comments about acquisitions and reserves and CDI and some things that weren't included in other parts of the survey. So some of the results. So some statistics on the responses. I got 45 responses after deduplication. People could fill out more than one time. If they had something they could add later, if they were sure they filled it out. So I combined those. I'm not sure what percentage of the folks working in the CSU libraries that ends up being. I'm going to have that for the final report. I'd love to hear from everyone, but lots of people don't work with Alma and Primo, or they think they don't work with Alma and Primo. 45 seems a little low. I'd like to get more folks, but it is a good number to work with, and I got a lot of good information. Number of campuses, 21 out of our 23 campuses and the CO had at least one response. I will make sure to look at the results earlier next year and make sure we get someone from all campuses. I'm not going to call out the campuses, but it was not our smaller campuses. So there are some of our larger campuses that did not have anyone that filled it out. And so on the next few slides, I'm going to give you some number ratings and some context. In some cases, the comments I've combined and summarized, but some of the comments were so great on their own, I'm going to read them as is. So you might recognize yourself in here, but I am not outing you. Okay, so here's what we've learned so far in relation to resource sharing. Be on the right page. Okay, so this is the question that I asked for this one, and this is a little familiar to if you've done the surveys in the past. Just scale 1 to 10, and how about Alma? Now I know with resource sharing or Rapido that gets a little confusing, but it seems like resource folks got the difference between Alma and Primo here. Not everybody had to fill out all the categories. We asked about a lot of different functional groups. So we did have less than 45 responses in here and in all the categories. So we had 29 responses with an average of 6.3 from 1 to 10. We had a high of 10 and a low of 3. I'm going to do a little more with statistics later to figure out what we can learn from this, how it compares to other functional areas. But this is a good raw number. And this is a great improvement over the last 2 years. We had a 4 in here last year and a 6 the year before. So the 6.3 is really good. And then we asked about Primo VE. So sort of Rapido in relation to Primo VE. That we got 24 responses with an average of 6.3 with a high of 10 and a low of 3. So comparing this to last year, this number was a 2. So this is a lot better. The previous year before that was a 7. So this is really a great improvement for this area. The next thing that we asked was just a general place you could talk about the top 5 issues you're currently facing. And I went through there and found things that were related to Rapido and resource sharing. So there were some comments in general that I wanted to mention here. Complaints about resource sharing request form customization. I like this comment. Somebody said, bridge to nowhere. Says we have the item full text, but then I end up in Iowa. Things about GTI records. We're continuing to work on that in the Data Issues Task Force. So many patron trouble reports that come out of the GTI. Even if you do a lot of changes with discovery, it's still a problem. With Rapido, it'd be nice if more patrons were aware of what's going on with their requests, especially if they aren't able to be fulfilled. Concerns about settings that I don't still don't quite understand what needs to be configured. Limits to the resource sharing media types. That's another thing the Data Issues Task Force is working on. Something that I talked about in analytics this morning, the external ID, maintaining that after cancellation would help with analytics reports. I believe this is something that's coming soon, that the external ID is going to be around some more, so we can do more work with it. And then greater ability to edit public-facing Rapido request forms. General comments that apply to all areas, communications with other systems. We're continuing to work on those things. Poor documentation, almost challenging to libraries that are understaffed. The monthly updates break things, and then it's confusing where things have changed. A confusing interface that makes configurations difficult. Are new features getting tested prior to rollout? And then, yeah, just sort of general comments about, I'm really happy with Alma, I'm really not happy. So then the next question was about Ex Libris support in relation to resource sharing. So there's going to be even fewer responses here. Maybe one person per campus enters support tickets on resource sharing, and then Chris has entered a lot of them for the group in general. So we had 12 responses that put this in here, but that one was a 6.9 with a high of 10 and a low of 5. That's also one that's been a little high. It's been high in the past as well. Last year that was an 8, and then 6 the previous year. So a little lower than last year, but higher than 2 years ago. Comments in this section. Lots of people mentioned Chris. Chris is much better than Ex Libris support, which we all know. Issues and concerns communicated with solutions or resolutions scheduled months to years out. But some people said some positive things. We've had great support and collaboration with resource sharing and Rapido. Yes, recognizing it's a newer product. They are quicker to resolve issues. We've had many cases. They've been resolved to our satisfaction. But also the regular complaint of the system's new, and then you report something and they go, oh, make it an enhancement request. So there were some miscellaneous questions at the end. What suggestions do you have for future development? Things that I saw in here: added functionality for rapid ILL, continued complaints about GTI records, too many records for resources you can't request, things with resource types. Anything else about satisfaction with Ex Libris products or support? Nothing specific here that wasn't covered elsewhere. And anything else that you wanted to share? There was nothing specific here that wasn't covered elsewhere. Just some general things about people asking about the ULMS governance system, and we're trying to do a better job of explaining how that works. Some people saying, hey, ULMS does a great job. And lots of support for the extra training that we do on top of what Ex Libris gives us. So what's next? All right, I've stopped sharing. I will give a more detailed survey results to each functional committee for feedback and analysis, comparison in previous years, what's continuing to come up year to year that's not fixed. In general, I'm curious what areas got a lot of feedback and complaints versus not. I'm going to create a report for steering committee to review in May 2024, a full results presentation in June, and then the final version of the report will go to Ex Libris in June, and you will see it there as well. Next year, I want to improve the survey, maybe more than one. I'll work with steering on this in the coming year. I do think we're still missing on a lot of our non-technical service folks. I'd like to figure out how to get more of that feedback from our Ex Libris products. I'd like more responses in general. Start earlier next year. We're delayed by the process of what I was allowed to change. I had to have a lot of meetings. But we appreciate your feedback about the process today or anytime. And that's it. I tried to squeeze that into the short time I was given. So thank you for all of you that filled this out. I think we've, especially in this group, done a lot of work on making this better for everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Thank you for putting this together. I know you've had a lot going on.
Are there questions about any of the things I talked about, or you can share them now, or you could share, send me an email later and say, hey, fix this. So
Lots
Yeah,
of great information. Yeah, I'd like to see more of the comments if possible in the future, but I understand if you have to keep them locked down, or I don't know.
No. You'll see them in lots of detail.
Okay.
I just was trying to put it into a small presentation for everybody.
Yeah, thank you both, Chris and Christina.
Chris is you know. No.
I'm very glad we have both of them at the chancellor's office. Now the Rapido enhancement though, that process, that was the first time we did that a few months ago, right? So that's going to go on every year as well, right?
That's right.
Yeah. That's the Aluna working group enhancement process. So but we also have an element of our consortia doing it too, which Christina does. Sorry to butt in. Sorry.
No, we're pretty much done. I see Jesse's face. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, I actually was going to say something real quick. This has nothing to do with any of that was presented.
Should we stop recording?
No, it's
Okay.
it is ILL.
Okay.
So I got the chance to go to Texas to see the eclipse. Got totality. It was pretty awesome. Was in Fredericksburg specifically. And so we stopped in Austin, Texas. And I just happened to have a book checked out via Rapido from University of Texas, Austin. And I was done with it. So I hand delivered the book to the Interlibrary Loan Department at University of Texas, Austin. It was really kind of fun to go and chat with them. I chatted mainly with the lead of ILL, and I found out some really interesting. So I don't know. Since it was Rapido, I assumed they had Rapido too. So I was kind of curious. I wanted to pick their brain. And see what they thought of it. And actually, they do not have Rapido. I was like, oh, whoops. They have Rapid R, which I get it. I was like, oh, okay. So that's how I got it via Rapido. But it was fun to actually kind of chat with them. And it was interesting to find out that not everyone, it's because sometimes I feel like, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I feel a little bit like in the dark. Like what's happening in the ILL world? I have no idea. No, but to see that, they're still doing Iliad and only Iliad. And the guy that I spoke to, and unfortunately I forget his name, and I should have looked it up before I started talking. But he just mentioned that they have seen Rapido and it's on his radar. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm planning on looking more into it. But he even brought up Tapasa, which I was kind of surprised because I thought Tapasa was dead. But I guess OCLC, I think, is still probably working on it. Anyways, it was very interesting. And I actually had an idea, and I thought this might be fun for future I-SPIE TVs, as long as the committee approves. I've got one approval from Donnell because she's kind of like my partner in crime. I thought it'd be fun to interview other ILL staff from libraries from around that's not a part of the CSUs, and just kind of like chat and get to know them and see what they're doing. And hopefully maybe we can put that as part of an I-SPIE TV segment.
Yes, I think that's an awesome idea. And I know that you have really good interviewing skills.
Sort of.
But we can come up with some questions. Yeah, a list of questions. And
yeah, I'll just throw this out there now. If somebody has a library they would love to maybe hear from, I mean, I'm going to try to maybe even hit up some big ones. Why not? I mean, they'll just say
yeah.
maybe no, but oh, I have a question though. We don't do I-SPIE TV over the summer, do we?
No, we'll have one more episode in May, and then we
Yeah.
take a little break because we're going to do the virtual conference too in July.
Yeah. Well, that might be perfect because I know some libraries are a little bit more, well, especially if they're university or academic libraries, they're a little bit slower. So probably perfect time to do interviews. But anyways, yeah, if you have any questions you can think of or any libraries you want me to reach out to, please email me. I was gonna say text me, but I'm like, oh, you guys don't have my phone number.
That would be great, Jesse. I would love
Okay.
that.
Anyways. All right, well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, of course. You're always welcome. We're all done for today, but it's good to see you and good to hear from you.
Thanks. Good to see all of you guys too. I'm such a dork.
We're all dorks.
Anyways, okay.
All right. Well, we're all done for today. So I guess, Chris, you can stop recording and